What is up, watch friends? Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. I'm Tony. Today's Friday. Right on. I hope you guys had a really great week and are ready for the weekend. And so today, as you know, Fridays is the Q&A. If you don't know what the Q&A is, we do it every Friday. We've been doing it for a few years. It's a lot of fun. I love interacting with you guys, and I love your questions, and we all interact together on this, and it's just, like I say, it's a lot of fun. So if you want to participate in the Q&A, all you have to do is ask your question in the comment section below, and it'll be featured on an upcoming Q&A. So leave your questions, and that's all you got to do. And appreciate everyone who likes, subscribes, and does all that stuff. I've said this before. It's really what helps me stay motivated to keep doing this channel. I don't do it for any monetary reasons or anything like that. In fact, I turn down sponsors, people that hit me up all the time. You know, those sponsors you see on other YouTube channels like VPN, NordVPN, or whatever else it is. I mean, I get the same stuff getting hit up, and I just turn it all down. And they pay quite well, but I ain't doing it for that. And I want to stay as authentic and down to earth and genuine as possible. So I appreciate you guys. And so let's just get into the Q&A. Today I am wearing my Rolex GMT Master 2, commonly known as the Batgirl or the Batman with the Jubilee bracelet. Love this watch. So let's get into it. The first question is from UMQ5147. Another great video, Tony. Thank you for them. Question: thoughts on the new yellow gold with turquoise dial Rolex Daytona? Which do you think is more rare, Daytona meteorite dial, yellow gold on rubber strap, or the turquoise one? All right, so you're talking about the turquoise one that just came out this year. That is going to be probably the hardest one to get out of all of them. They're both pretty rare. They're both going to be very difficult to get. But I would put my money on the turquoise style. Aesthetically, I don't really like it all that much. However, I do have the OP with the turquoise style. For some reason, I don't think it works so well with the yellow gold. I don't know why, but that's just my thought. But I would say that the turquoise one. But the yellow, if it was up to me and I was gonna get one of those two, I would definitely get the meteorite dial. I think that watch is absolutely stunning. I think it's sick, and that's what I would pick if it was me. So thanks for your question, dude. I appreciate it. Next one from Anushka Bhakta. Thanks for mentioning my question mark. I guess your last question. Let me clarify that I was not talking about purchasing the Patek or the Pateks at the AD. What I meant was, do you think that gray prices for these watches are a good time to buy now? Wait, or do you see them climbing? Just wanted to know what your thoughts on these models at the current gray prices. If you can reply here or in the next video, that would be helpful. Okay, I remember your question because you were talking about, I think, the 5711 1R and the 57 oh my god, the 5167 1R, the Aquanaut. Yeah, and I said that you would have to get it on the gray because I thought you meant you were going to, buy it at the AD, and I'm like, well, they discontinued the 5711, so you'd have to buy it on gray. But for like the 5711 is probably at about $170,000-$80,000, and they're kind of just holding there, So if you want to do it, do it. I don't see them climbing anymore. I would see them coming down a little bit. But right now, again, it's how the market's going to, work. And I am not a stock market guy, or I can't predict what's going to happen with watches, if they're going to come down even more or skyrocket. You just never know. The 5167, I think you're rolling at, man, I don't know, what is that? About 100 grand, 80 grand to 100 grand, let's say. Maybe 80 to 120 just to be safe. I mean, it's a beautiful watch. That's the watch I would get, just simply because too much gold on my wrist is no bueno. But with that, with the 5167, with the brown rubber strap, I think it's gorgeous. So I would go with that one. But I think right now on the secondary, they're kind of holding where they're at, So best of luck to you, man. I hope this is a better answer than the last one I gave you. So thanks for your question. I appreciate it. Next one, Sean Miller 7187. Mr. Tony, I hope things are going well. In my opinion, 6:30 is the best time to look at on a wristwatch, hands down. What are your thoughts? Hands down? Is that a joke? Because 6:30. I don't know, man. No, I don't think so. Because if you're really being serious about 6:30 being the time to look at a watch, you can't really see the hands all that well. The best times. I mean, when you look at why every it used to be anyway, every watch ad or every picture of a watch is set at 10 after 10 because aesthetically that's the best way to look at the overall picture of the watch, the way the hands are, the way the dial is, the way everything is, or 10 after 2, or 10 to 2, whatever you want. Sorry, yeah, either one of those. So I don't think 6:30 is the best at all, but hands down, I think it's not the best. Thanks for your question, Sean. Next one. Oh, this is from JW. Just leave it at that. Hey, Tony, I love your channel. Thanks so much for the content. Also, thank you for being really effing hot and smart and charming and funny. Thank you so much. I heard this rumor about this girl named Jamie that really loves you. Have you heard about her? What are your thoughts? I also heard that she has really great taste in watches. She cites you as her source of knowledge of watches. What are your thoughts on that? And would you consider marrying her? Thanks, man. Well, I have heard of her, and I'm glad that you like my channel, and I'm glad that that you are getting an interest in watches. That's pretty cool. And would I consider marrying her? I guess I probably wouldn't have asked her if I hadn't thought about that. Maybe I'll put a picture up of her. Thanks, Jamie. I love you. Next question. Ghost Pisana. Hi, Tony. Keep on doing what you're doing. You rock. Literally. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I've decided to get the Vacheron Constantin Overseas blue dial in steel. I can't seem to decide between the 41 millimeter and the 34.5 millimeter. I have a 7.5 inch wrist, but tend to gravitate towards smaller, more classic fitting watches. Would love your thoughts, especially since the movement on the 34.5 doesn't have the outer markers on the dial and does not carry the Geneva seal on the movement. Yeah, man. All right. Well, first and foremost, congratulations. I mean, you couldn't pick a better watch, the blue dial is absolutely stunning on those. 41 millimeter has a 5100 movement, and both of them are at 4 hertz, 28,800 VPH. The 41, I believe, has a 60-hour power reserve, and the 34.5 millimeter has a 40-hour power reserve. You're looking at the Geneva seal on obviously the 41. You're not getting it on the 34.5. Honestly, because you have a 7.5 inch wrist, I have 6.5 inch wrist, so you've got pretty good size wrist. I would go with the 41. I just would. I mean, classic size is great. I mean, if you like classic, like for instance, if you had a Rolex Datejust with the 36, that's fine. But 34.5 is kind of small. It would look really small on your wrist, man. But I would go with the 41. And I wish you all the best, and let me know how it goes. All right. Appreciate your question, man. Next question comes from, how do I read this? John Smith hyphen, and you know what? It's kind of faded. I apologize. Hey, Tony, great videos as always. Thanks, man. I've loved following your watch journey. I appreciate that too. What do you estimate the required spend history is going from a Submariner to a GMT Master 2 and finally a Daytona? There are more factors than spend that goes into the 80s decision to offer you a watch or not, but you could still argue that for the average person, spend history is the biggest influencing factor in getting that watch from an AD. Yeah. And that's kind of where I went. I went from a Submariner to a GMT Master 2 to a Daytona, I believe, with a bunch of stuff in between, date justs and whatever else, OPs and things like that. But I don't know. I think some ADs you're just never gonna get it, no matter how much you spend. I mean, in my case, I got a pretty heavy spend history, but I've just kind of made friends with everyone there, so I can't really sort of speak on how other ADs handle everything because everyone's different, you know what I mean? They're all different, you can walk into one AD and they treat you real well and they're accommodating and they follow up with you and you follow up with them, vice versa. And then some ADs, they don't give you the time of day. You can't even get a freaking date just at some of them, so. But spend history, I think you still, even, all things aside, you still have to have a pretty decent spend history, man. I would say, if you're going for the Steel Panda like I have, you're looking at probably at least 100 grand. But, but I can't speak on behalf of other ADs. I've been to other ADs, of course. I know how other ADs work, some of them, because I've been to them and I've talked to them. But, I never got anything from them because I got my AD here. Thanks for your question, man. I appreciate it. Next one, EHL97. What are your thoughts on the Explorer 2 16570 40 millimeter red GMT hand? Do you like the polar or the black dial better? Thanks. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to go for the Explorer, with the polar dial or the black dial, I'd definitely go with the polar dial just because it's different. I just, I have so many black dial watches. I would go with the white dial one. I probably wouldn't wear the watch though. I mean, actually, I wouldn't buy the watch. It's just not on my radar as to something I want. But like, for instance, if I hadn't ever purchased a Rolex before and say I walked into an AD and they offered me that watch, then I would have probably taken it. But at this point, I wouldn't. But aesthetically, I would go with the white dial. I think it's a better looking watch aesthetically. Plus the history of the Explorer too. I mean, it's one of the Rolex that just maintained, just like the Submariner, really kind of through all the years. The aesthetics of the watch is, just like their old ones. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hapkido Roy. Great video as always. Thanks, man. Are all do the greens Rolex uses for the bezel and dial similar in shit. Dude. Great video as always. Are all do the greens Rolex uses for the bezel and dials similar in color? Thinking about trying to catch all the current green models. I think what you're trying to ask me is all the green Rolex dials and bezels the same color green? No, they're not. I mean, if you look at the Starbucks there's another generation Starbucks. Then plus, if you look at those are a different shade of green. One's darker, one's a little bit lighter. Those are the ceramic bezels. If you look at the Hulk with the aluminum bezel, it's different shade, more of a spearmint sort of green, if that makes sense. Green dials on the OPs different than the green dials on the day dates, or even the date justs. For instance, there's the olive greens, and yeah, they're different. So, but good luck with doing that. If you want to get all of them, shit, man. Sitting pretty on the finance side of things, I would imagine. But thanks for your question. MSA06. Hey, Tony, please share your thoughts on the Rolex Yacht Master Rodeium. I really enjoy it. For some reason, this model has fewer fans than it deserves. Out of the Yacht Masters, that would be my favorite one. I do like the slate gray dial with the blue hands, the blue second hand, and the blue text on the dial. I think that's pretty cool. Again, another Rolex I wouldn't purchase, but I think if I was going to, that would definitely probably be the one I'd get. Still a beautiful watch. Thanks for your question, man. Frank Capolino 9413. What do you think about the Rolex Land Dweller? I like the platinum one, but no, I like the Land Dweller. I do. I don't like the name, but I think the watch, they've taken parts of their past from the Oyster Quartz, with adding that, the integrated bracelet, the Dynapulse escapement, the 7135 movement, pretty innovative. That also runs on 5 hertz as well, as opposed to a 4 hertz movement. So that would be like 28,800 is a typical 4 hertz movement. 5 hertz would be 36,600, 36,400, something like that, VPH. But yeah, I like it. And then you asked me another question: is Frederick Constant an underrated luxury brand? Um, well, they're now owned by the Citizen Group, and how Frederick Constant started was it was a husband and wife team, and I can't remember their names who started Frederick Constant. They and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't remember. They started because they saw luxury watches, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Breguet, and thought that they could make the same watches for a whole lot less money, which they did. They basically were an homage brand, making almost exact copies of the Calatrava, the Patrimony by Vacheron Constantin, or the Classique by Breguet. And they did a pretty good job at that. But now they've branched into what they have, like tourbillons, and they've got solid gold watches. Before they were just using, it was all gold plated. I've owned several Frederick Constants, but way back. And the thing with them is, I think in a weird sort of sense, they kind of shot themselves in the foot, because they've got watches that you can get on Amazon for like $200, and then you've got a $30,000 solid gold whatever. But it's like they've got the wherewithal, and they have made several of their own calibers. I mean, so they're capable of doing anything. But at the same time, I would classify them as a watch brand similar to Raymond Weil. They're never going to be at a Patek level. They kind of like start, when you can get watches at $200 or whatever, and then you got watches that are $35,000, $40,000. I don't know. It's kind of all over the place with their pricing, their quartz models versus their, other models, you know what I mean? So I think they need to sort of find their path, which I'm not saying they've lost any path. They're sort of gearing more towards luxury than just copying other brands, but they still take aesthetically from like Patek and Vacheron. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're underrated. I don't think they're overrated. I just think they're somewhere floating in the middle. Like, if you really like them, by all means, pick one up, dude. Thanks for your questions. W Gravely 5290. Hello, Tony. Great video as always. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Would you consider the GMT Master 2 a good everyday watch? Maybe the Bruce Wayne, since it's a bit more subtle. I would guess most people would suggest a Submariner, but I'm drawn to the GMT Master 2. Thanks. P.S. I really liked your Aussie tribute. Thanks, man. I've been listening to Diary of a Madman on repeat. Best album. One of the best albums of all time for rock stuff, I mean, just masterpiece that record is. And a lot, obviously, to do with Randy Rhoads, the guitar player. But yeah, I mean, if you like the GMT, Master 2, I wore this every day for like a year straight. And you can wear whatever you want as a daily. It doesn't matter unless it's some vintage Patek that's worth a fortune. Then I wouldn't do that. But something like this, the Bruce Wayne's cool because it's, but you can wear the back roll or the Pepsi, whatever you want to wear, man. So just enjoy it. Buy it, wear it, enjoy it. The Sub is a great watch, man. A lot of people have Submariners, obviously. I love the Submariner. It's my Submariner is 14060, my favorite watch. But yeah, you can wear your GMT as a daily. On that note, you guys, we'll see you on the next one. I appreciate everyone. You take care.